Okay, so we are home from Illinois. I showed you, I think we went to, altogether we went to like 9 different bookstores, I believe. We went to 7 half-price books. I think it was 7 different half-price books. We did return to one. The first one we went to, we ended up going back to because I did not see their erotica section. Once I figured out that all the romance that I read, like the dark romance and stuff, was labeled as erotica instead of like regular romance, I went back and looked for that section at that first half-price books because it was like on the other side of the shelf that I was looking at. And I found a lot of books, you guys. A lot of books. Like I said, I had never been to a half-price books before. We don't have any around me. So we figured, when am I going to get the chance to go back to a half-price books ever again? So we went to as many as possible. I became unhinged in these stores. I did have some, very little self-control. I had some. There were books that I was like, I really don't need this. I'll wait. Like, it's not gonna be a big deal if I don't have it. I don't, whatever. And then there were some books where like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I found this here. Like, give it to me. So I am not gonna give synopses of these books. I have a lot of books here. I don't know for sure how many there are. There's gotta be at least 50, at least. So at the end of it, I'll give you a count. If you're not counting along with me, I will give you a count and tell you how many I acquired. Again, I got books at, which I probably shouldn't have because I went to so many half-price books, but we stopped at a Barnes & Noble because there was one right down the, like, we were in a strip mall and it was right at the end by half-price books. So we stopped at a Barnes & Noble. We went into a Super Target because I'd never been in a Super Target before. And of course I ended up getting a couple things at the Super Target. And then we went to, there was 2 like local indie bookstores in town where we were. So we went in and checked them out. I didn't buy anything from either one. We just went and checked them out. And then we went to another, it looked like a Barnes & Noble, but it was like an indie. It was in a mall and it was called like Barbara's Bookshelf or Barbara's Bookstore or something like that. It looked like they have like the customer service sign that like Barnes & Noble has. That's what it looked like. So I did get a couple things from there, but majority of these books came from half-price books. The trade-ins, so I've discovered it's not really worth it. They're worth to purchase from. They're not really worth trade-ins. So I brought 3 tote bags of books with me to trade in. I ended up getting $10 for both bags. The third bag I brought home with me. I'm probably going to end up putting it on Pango instead just because I feel like I can get a little bit more money for it. Granted, the books that I traded in were like older books that probably aren't really worth a whole lot anymore, but I thought I would get a little bit more than what I got for them. All right, so we're just gonna, again, I'm not gonna give synopses to these. I have 4 bags. I have 4 tote bags of books sitting here. So I literally brought home as many books as I brought with me to trade in. Actually more because I brought a whole bag of trade-in books back with me. So I don't even know which one to start in. So I guess we'll start here. I did find quite a few series too. So the first one I got was Real by Katie Evans. Then we have 2 Ivy Smoke. I have the first 2 of the Hunted series. So I have Temptation and Addiction. These are the ones I was really, really most excited about. I was like squealing when I saw them. So I got a bunch of Cora Riley. Unfortunately, I didn't get the rest of the Kimura Chronicles, but I did get, this is By Sin I Rise, which this is part 2. And then this is part 1 of By Sin I Rise. I didn't realize it was in 2 parts, but they had both of them. They had the whole series. I got By Virtue I Fall and By Fate I Conquer. Like, can you believe they had this whole series there? I was so excited when I saw it. I was dying. And they also had Fragile Longing by Cora Riley. So excited. So I got Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I did find some Darcy Coates. So I found The Haunting of Blackwood House and The Haunting of Ashbourne House. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. And then I actually think I got this one might have gotten this one at Target, but How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I think this one was at a Target buy. We got this was on clearance at half-price book, so it was $6. $6. It was the hardback edition of The Fiery Cross by Diana Gabaldon, which is book 5 in her Outlander series. This is actually the book I'm in the middle of. reading that I put down and then haven't picked back up in like 2 years. I do want to collect, like these are the ones I want to collect, but they're so expensive and not hard to find, they're just expensive. But $6, I was like, yes, I will take that, thank you. They did have other ones in the series, but they were like on like the main shelf and they were still like $18 a piece. So I was like, yeah, that's when I was like, I don't want to spend that kind of money when I'm buying like spending so much money on other books. Like I do have the whole series in the mass market size, so not a huge deal. So I think these two books are the ones I got at Barnes & Noble. They were like on the buy one, get one 50% off. The first one being another Darcy Coates, Dead of Winter. And then I got Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison, which I'm not a huge, y'all know I'm not like a holiday person. I don't care much for holiday books, but everyone's read this last year, I believe, and loved it. So I figured I would get it. It was, you know, half price. So I did find some mass markets that I've been looking for. The first one being Night Secrets by Kat Martin. And this does have the step back, so it's the first edition, which makes me super happy. This is a pirate romance that like everybody's been loving. Then I got another one in my Lorraine Heath series that I've been trying to collect, and that's An Affair with a Notorious Heiress. And then I got A Heart of Blood and Ashes by Mila Vane. I do have book 2. I think book 2 is the one I have, and I haven't been able to find book 1, and then I found it at Half Price Books and I scooped that right up. So I got If You're Mine by Melanie Harlow. This is my first Melanie Harlow book. Given to Him by S.R. Jones. I do have other S.R. Jones books. I have The Priest, and on my Kindle I got the first book in that Priest series. So this is a different part of a different series, I assume. Then I got My Always One by Aletha Romig. I don't know, I've heard about this author before and I found one of her books, so I figured I would give it a try, but I think it's like in the middle of a series. I think they're all, oh, it's signed. It's also a signed copy. Did not know that. Friends to Lovers lighter standalone. Okay, this one I bought at the Barbara's bookstore, whatever, in that strip mall, and that was The Dare by Harley LaRue. I didn't realize they changed the cover for this. I was looking to see compare the price to on Amazon, and it was only like $1 or so more difference for the original cover they had in the bookstore, so I got the original cover. All right, then we have Endorsed by Marnie Mann. I think this is like book 2 or 3 in a series. Then we have The Bombshell Effect by Carla Sorensen. This is also a part of a series. I think it's Brothers or something like that. A Washington Wolves novel. Yeah, but I think this might be the first one in that series. This one has been on my list, my Amazon list, for a while, and that is Once a Myth by Pepper Winters. I believe this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I ended up getting it on Kindle. I think it was free on Kindle, so I ended up getting it in there instead, but I did find a physical copy, so I grabbed that. And then we have the original indie published version of Stinger by Mia Sheridan. All her books I know went to a publisher, so now you can find them all over the place. But when I found like the original matte indie cover, I grabbed it. I am a sucker. I love the original covers of most indie author books. I kudos to them for getting picked up by publishers and getting recognition and getting in bookstores and a wider audience. But like, I stan the original indie covers for the most part. This one I know I got at Target, and that's In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is the book after Lovelight Farms. If I'm going to read any holiday books, it's going to be these two. So then I got Fighting Conviction by Greer Rivers. This is part of the Conviction series. Again, I have to check to make sure which books in the series some of these are. So I did find Nicole Fiorina, Even When I'm Gone, which I think is book 2 of her, yeah, it says it. Duh, Sarah. Book 2. The first one being Here With Me or something like that. Stay With Me. Whatever that's the white cover that I found at the bookstore like however long ago. This is book 2. They didn't have book 1, but they had book 2. Then I got The Pageant Duet by Lilith Vincent. And this is both duet. This is the Dark and Disturbed Last Chapter edition. They had quite a few of these. Some of them were like behind glass cases, or they were like wrapped in shrink wrap, and they were like $30, $40. This one was $20 for both. It's the duet, so it's both books wrapped up in one, which was a decent deal. So I mean, I assume that means it's not signed, but it has a book plate that someone put in like in a really weird way, but that's fine. Spinning Out, The Black Hawk Boys by Lexi Ryan, and the sequel to that is Rushing In by Lexi Ryan. I don't know if this is football. It looks like sports romance, but I don't know. It is. It's a sports romance series. Then I got a bunch of Natasha Knight. I don't I've heard of this author. I can't remember if any of these books particular were on my radar. But I got Devil's Pawn, which I think is the first book, and then Devil's Redemption, which I believe is the second book of this series. Then I got Devil's Bargain, Taken, which is the first book of a different, or might be a standalone, or a first book of a different series. I don't know. And I got some big chunks of a book. I got this one again by an author I never heard of, Paradise Falls by Abigail Graham. I don't know if this is multiple books. It is this is a, what do you call it, omnibus. It's all 5 books bound up into one. This is a stalker romance. So, you know, been into those lately. We did read Haunting and Hunting Adeline. Listened to it on the way to and from Illinois. So, yeah. And then I finally got, this was one of the ones on my wish list, but I didn't realize it was how chunky this book was. And that's The Ritual by Chantal Tessier. Yeah, this one has been another dark romance, but it's been on my TBR and been on my Amazon wishlist for a really long time, so I finally got a hold of that one. Then we got another one that's been on my, actually this has been on my Hoopla for the longest time. That's A Wilderness Within by Emma Castle. I have this on my Hoopla, like want to read, like my saved things in my Hoopla for a really long time, and I found a physical copy of it. Then we got The Invitation by Vi Keeland. I believe this is the first of a series. And then I got my first Jenica Snow. I got Corruption, which is Werewolf Kings. I don't know if this is actually a werewolf. Even the beast could get the beauty. He just had to take her. Oh, this is Mafia. So I found another author that I had never heard of before, and that's Jamie Schlosser. So I got Trucker, which is part of The Good Guys. Oh, I forgot to put the stickers. These are the ones we got on the way. We stopped at, there was 5 half-price books that we stopped at in Illinois, and then on the way home we stopped at 2 in Ohio. So these are the ones we stopped at on the way home. I haven't peeled the stickers off them yet. But this is one of the books in the Good Guys series, and this is a hitchhiker and a trucker, which sounds so interesting, but a trope I haven't read before. And then we have Loner, which is another series. I think this is the first book, and this is like a further down the list, if I'm not mistaken, when I looked at it. But I think I'm gonna see. I'll have to look and see if I can read them as standalones or not. But if not, then I'll have to see if they're on KU. Look into them, which I'm gonna spend today doing, is like reorganizing all of my shit and figuring out what's what. Then I got my first Max Monroe. I got The Bet by Max Monroe. I think this is also a first in a series. Yeah, Winslow Brothers book 1. Y'all, I bought 2 of the same book. I bought 2 of the same book. 2 different half-price books, bought 2 of the same book. That is something I've done before, especially with my historicals. But normally, you know, I have my bookshelf app that I use to prevent this from happening. But I wasn't adding to my bookshelf app until today when I got home, and then I still did it. I cannot believe I did that. Not surprised, but okay, well, that happened. That happened. Moving on to the last few books. So I also got Hot Asset by Lauren Lane. So this is one I was aware of. It was on my radar. I was pursuing or trying to like buy it for a while, and then I decided to put it down and then not to get it, and now I found that at half price books and picked it up anyway, and that is The Pier and the Puppet. This one also, I can't remember where I heard of it from, but I remember it was familiar to me, and that's Buttons and Lace. This is book 1 by Penelope Sky. And then the final book I'm going to talk about is not a romance. It is not a thriller. It's not anything you probably recognize me ever freaking reading. Someone definitely cut a piece out of this book. That's so weird. Anyway, it's part 2 of Cheese Sweet Home, which is a little graphic novel about a kitty cat. I do have the first one. I have not read it. But look, someone like cut one of the pictures out of it. That's so weird. Why would you do that? How dare you desecrate a book that someone else sold for someone else to buy? Well, yeah, so there's that. My battery's gonna die, but that's all of the books that I purchased in Illinois. So I'm gonna count them really fast. 51 books, 50 if you take away one of my duplicates. So maybe exactly 50 books that I've got in Illinois in half price books and within like a 3-day trip. So that's crazy. I may not haul these again for November because this is like a separate video haul, and I always say in the past that if I haul it in a video, I don't usually haul it for my monthly haul, and I really don't want to have to haul these again at the end of the month. So I may at the end of November reference this video for the rest of that haul if I get any more books, because I'm pretty sure I'm on a book buying ban now until after the holidays. There will be some books purchased, but nothing crazy like this, because I spent way too much money on books. I don't even want to do the math. I did some of the math and it was a lot of money, unnecessary money. But yeah, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this journey with me of unhauling books, going to my half price books for the first time, and then rehauling all of the books that I unhauled. What a time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you stuck with this, I'm sorry that it's very long because of I have a lot of B-roll. I did not film the last 2 half price bookstores, and I did not film, I think, the other like random bookstores I went to. But yeah, so thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.